Okay, so I want to talk about some, let's call it research, that I've been working with and on for, well, getting on for 3 years, but really just recently I've been thinking much more carefully about requirements and designs and using AI to improve those things, or maybe to write those things, or to review those things. But essentially, I think we can use AI in a much more sophisticated way than most people imagine. And so, as you gain more experience, you invest more trust in AI, and then you realize it's not perfect, but then you can make compensations for it. And it's just like having a new employee. They're not perfect, and you may have to compensate for the fact that all your employees, all your team, all your management, everybody is imperfect. And so the imperfections of AI can be fitted in to your ways of working, okay? So that's kind of the thesis overall. Let's see if this works. Okay. So my kind of agenda is the way we learn how to use AI, we go through levels of engagement, let's say. And I want to sort of make use of some ideas of other people about sense-making and problem-solving in complex and complicated and chaotic environments. And I want to use that to basically evolve an approach to testing AI, okay? Testing AI systems, AI-based systems. So I've got this kind of a 7-layer framework, but then I want to sort of walk through an experiment that I did recently in using AI. Claude is the one I'm using, the LLM I'm using, an experiment to see how it could work in terms of building a set of documents and documentation for a simple, well, not so simple system. And my goal would be, or my assertion is, if I create better documentation, requirements, design, if I use AI to generate code, surely better documentation, more accurate documentation, will help. And I think that's kind of obvious that's true. But can we use AI to make those improvements to the documentation and the input knowledge, the sources of knowledge used to build software? How can we rely on AI to do this? And if we do choose to rely on it, how do we make that work? Now, at the moment, people are thinking, not so people, let's say managers, the people who own the companies you work for, believe that AI can do everything. And so there's huge pressure on people to say, well, where do I fit with this? Because am I going to be replaced by AI? And the common saying is, you won't be replaced by AI, you'll be replaced by a person who uses AI. Well, I want to qualify that. I think it's more sophisticated than that. It's a bit more nuanced, okay? A bit more to it. I'm losing my thingy. Okay, right, that's it. Okay, so moving on. Can't talk about that very long. So let's suppose you're a newcomer to AI, right? The first thing you do is you treat it a bit like Google and you ask it a question. And that's the simplest kind of inquiry or prompt, if I call it that you can have. But the next level would be, after a while, you ask it to analyze some information that you provide. So you might upload a document and tell me, give me a summary of what's in that document, so I don't need to read it. So meeting minutes might be one of those things, or a long article that seems to be sophisticated and you want some information out of that. Okay, so the next level, with a bit more practice, after sharing a problem, you might ask it to do some, let's say, thinking. That's probably the wrong word to use, I think, with AI, but you ask it to try and help you to solve a problem, to do more deeper analysis, to break a complex problem into a series of staged attempts, okay? So you get it to kind of support you and help you solve your problem. But then there's another opportunity which emerges, which is like, okay, I don't want an expert, I want a coach. I don't want answers, I want a coach to lead me through a way of thinking to solve my problem myself, okay? And that takes more trust, and it's a higher level of engagement, I think, okay? So these would be my first, my suggestion of the first 4 layers of the way we engage with AI. So this progressive level of engagement, I think, rings bells with me in that there are clearly other layers of engagement, like the robotics and the autonomous vehicles and all that kind of good stuff, which are obviously a bit more serious, where the AI takes more and more control over its behavior, over its activity, over what it does. And there's less and less human input. Okay? So like all consultants, I've got to have a 7-layer model, okay? And, oh, where's it gone? There we go. So if you do a search for a 7-layer model, everybody's got one, there's millions of them. Okay. I'm doing what consultants do and trying to structure something that doesn't have a structure to make it more easy to understand. That's all really. So what might this model look like? Well, I'm going to use some references to, quote some references to people I trust and have helped me understand how I think. So I'm very big on thinking and how testers think and how we all think, really. And the first one is of these sense-making models. They help you make sense of complexity, essentially. That's what they're trying to do. So the first one is Philip Palmer's book, The Laws of Software Process. And in the book, this is about 20 years old now, I think, but I think it's a good book. It's an interesting book to me. He suggests there's this thing called the 5 orders of ignorance. And if I just show you, this is just a random image off the internet, but it actually sets it out quite nicely. And say, well, in terms of how much you know about a problem, where are you on this kind of roadmap, you could say? Okay, so the first level is, I know something. I'm not ignorant. I know exactly what I need to do in order to achieve my goal. I've got a requirement that I trust. I can build a system. Maybe. Next one is, there are some things I don't know. I don't know something. Okay? There are gaps in my knowledge. Okay, fair enough. The next one is, I don't know that I don't know something. I don't know what I don't know. There are gaps in my knowledge I don't even realize exist. Does that make sense? Okay? And the next level is, I don't know how best to discover that I don't know something. So like you might remember some years ago, a guy called Donald Rumsfeld talked about unknown unknowns. And these slides are extracted from a longer pitch, a longer talk. But the essential is there are situations where we don't know what we don't know. And these things could be trivial or absolutely critical to our success. And so we need a way of managing that. But the fourth order of ignorance, the third order of ignorance in this numbering is where you just don't know what you don't know. Finally, last one is, I don't know anything about anything, so I'm just an idiot. So it's not really a level. But you get the idea. There's a notion of how much information we are missing and how much information we might need to achieve our goal, but then we need to know how we achieve knowledge and understanding, okay? So that's what it's all about. And I don't want to dwell on this except to say, you could say, what kind of projects might we be working on depending on which one of these levels of ignorance? And a lot of IT projects are in the exploratory and unknown unknowns. Very roughly, you could say, Agile is great where you need an exploration. It's like a research project, an Agile project. You don't know the outcome, except that you have a goal, and you've got to figure out your way and your process and what information you need as you go. But some projects don't fit that model. Some projects are so complex, that we simply don't know how to solve the problems we've got in front of us. So anyway, put that to one side. Okay, you could summarize those levels, okay, but I'm just going to move on because this isn't really the point of the talk. But I want you to be aware that these are the inputs to the stuff I'm going to talk about. The next one is a model from Dave Snowden, who is Welsh, and he called his model Cynefin, Cynefin. Okay, it's Welsh. It's an odd word, but that's Welsh for you. And he has a similar thing, but he doesn't have levels of ignorance. He has categories of projects where essentially the amount of information available to solve your problem varies. And so a simple project, I think it used to be called simple, it's now called clear. He's changed the name of it. Is that a pointer? Oh, you can't see that anyway, never mind, okay, never mind. So a clear project is a very kind of simple project, okay? We know what to do, we just go on and do it. A complicated is where there's less information available, there are gaps in our knowledge, there are problems we can see, but perhaps we know how to solve those problems, okay? Complex is probably where you're drifting into, there are icebergs ahead, but we don't know where they are. There are big problems in there, but we don't know what those problems are yet. We don't know what we don't know. So I think there's kind of a relationship. I mean, the two, Armour and Snowden, might not agree that their models are the same model. I'm not saying that, but I think there are parallels. And they have a different approach to what you can do with these models. So Dave Snowden suggests there are different approaches. So with a complicated project, you sense, analyse, respond. You have a different response, a different approach. Clear is sense, categorise, respond, and so on. And these things are explained, and if you look it up on the web, it's all there. There's a lot of information on Cynefin. I'm just saying that these are influences on how I think. Here's a drawing, which is rather busy, but actually there's an awful lot of information on that drawing. It is a kind of it's a model to allow you to choose an approach to a different problem, for different problems, different projects, different applications, different software applications. Okay? So enough said, I'm going to move on. I have to move on quickly. So I don't need to say that. So I want to just give you this 7-layer model, right? I can take another half hour to explain it, but I haven't got half an hour. Okay, you have to trust me that there is a thought process going on here. And you can see there are 7 levels, but actually there's an 8th, which is we're not using AI at all. So that doesn't really count. But you can see at the first level, I've called it a gopher because you're literally asking AI to go and find some information, just like using a Google search. What's the capital of Hungary? That kind of question. Go for this, go for that. Next one is where you ask for a bit more research, you could say, so a bit more of a complicated kind of inquiry. And this is like GPT plus RAG. So you provide some information to the tool and say, go and look at this documentation, go look at the internet, go wherever you need to go, and give me an answer to my questions. So it's going to do a bit more research. Next level is mentor. This might do a little bit more diagnosis and analysis on data you give it. So you might say, here is a chart of accounts. Tell me how this company is doing. That kind of thing. Next one up is where I think coaching comes in, where you ask the tool to help you to solve the problem in your way. It might be a problem that AI knows nothing about, so it can only guess. And to be honest, most of the problems that we really struggle with are ones that AI can't help us with. But it could help us by being our coach, to help us think about a problem in a different way and to approach our solution in a different way, and so on. So I'm going to talk about 1, 2, 3, and 4. The others you can see, but they go up towards the things that are really scary, which is like next-gen warfare. Not a thing I really want to talk about. So how can you use this model? Well, one use of it would be you could develop a risk-based test strategy based on those levels. So if I go back, right? You could, hold on, yeah. So each of these categories of behaviors and engagement and autonomy with your AI indicates different kind of requirements, but also the nature of the interactions you have with AI vary, and you could perhaps vary your response and vary the way you test these things. So I'm just going to skip this because, if you like, on the model, the layers, I could then start saying, well, what risks are relevant to a complicated coach complicated system where the AI is actually being my coach. How would I test that? Do you get the idea? So we've got the beginnings of a kind of a stress strategy, right? And I haven't done that work, but I think that work is, ripe for someone to do. Maybe me, I don't know. Not decided yet. I want to talk a little bit about being a coach or a mentor. The big difference between coaching and mentoring is mentors tend to give you answers to your questions. Okay? Coaching tends to ask you questions. Does that make sense? Now, you may have a slightly different definition of coaching and mentoring, but that's my definition. So to me, I prefer to be a coach, and then I can coach anybody in anything, because I don't need to know what the problem is. I don't need to know what the subject domain is, because I can ask people questions about what they know, things I have no interest in or no knowledge of. But a coach, to me, is a more helpful assistant, let's say. So anyway, I think we should use AI much more as coaches than mentors. We should do less questioning and more interactions and saying, let's collaborate to achieve some goal. Okay. So an example, and I'm just going to do this really quick because, wait a minute. Yep, okay. You can tell these slides were only just written. I've got them in the wrong order, a couple in the wrong order. Some time ago, I developed a little approach called DEFO-SPAM. And DEFO-SPAM is a little acronym based on a way of evaluating requirements and improving them. DE, definitions. Get some definitions, right? Most requirements don't have a glossary of terms in. F, features. What features can you identify? O, what outcomes? What do these features do? S, scenarios. What scenarios trigger those outcomes? O, FO. S again is def, O, yeah, scenarios. I've got that in the wrong order as well. P is prediction. A is ambiguity. M is missing. So it's just a mnemonic to help you figure out how to find problems with requirements documents. And so I'm building a little app to implement some of these queries, these questions, these interactions or inspections using AI. Okay? So in order to do that, I need to build myself a mechanism for using agents. So I need a thing called MI6. So I had this little idea of saying, well, I'm going to specify how to build an agentic AI framework, and I'm going to name certain of the components with the character names of the Bond films. It's corny, but you know what? Let's do it. So, okay, this was my first sketch of how I think my agents would operate in the field, let's say. And I've got M, and I've got Moneypenny, and I've got the villains and their villainous plans. I've got Q and so on. I've got gadgets, that kind of stuff. And they're just labels put on what you'd really call services. Okay? So, I wrote a little spec, and I haven't got access to my laptop, so I can't show it you, but imagine a 2 or 3 page document with an outline of what this thing would look like and what it does. And what I want to do now, in the 5 minutes I've got, okay. This is 6 minutes to the end of the half hour, isn't it? Not the end of my talk. Okay, right. It's going to be a challenge. I'm having a conversation with Claude. I'm talking about implementing and building this MI6 application, which is a series of services. And I'm going to do this really quick because I've got no choice. I asked questions of AI and of Claude, okay, and I gave it an improved version of the document. And it tells me, what improved? What improved? It said good additions, and it said the remaining issues, okay? It analysed, and it reviewed, and it tells me what it found that it didn't like. And you can read for yourself faster than I can say it. But you can see that I'm having a conversation, it's giving me feedback, it's telling me what could be done to improve matters in these requirements documents, and it summarises. The bottom line is, my strong recommendation, embrace option B, which is to go further into the requirements in effect. Okay? So I do that. So this is everything you're seeing on the screen is produced by AI, and the little P sections is me asking the question. So you can see, and I just want you to sort of just register what the headings are. Just look at the headings. There's no time for me to go through this. But it's acting like an intelligent person, a good BA maybe, or a good subject matter expert. The notion that I'm offering here, this is mine. I say there's 4 questions I want to answer, which are essentially, how do we build this system? Okay? And I go through a series of further conversation, and you can see the stuff that it's producing, and the questions it's raising, and the suggestions it's making. Okay? And all this took me about 2 hours, all of it. Now, this is the description of the documents it's producing. It's actually producing about 200 pages of text. 200 pages of text. Okay? It looks pretty good, doesn't it? Now, that's the problem with AI, is what it does is looks reasonable. It needs a review. These are not documents like you could trust to build anything, because they need review from humans, and they also need a further interaction and iterative activity, and so on, right? It's an intelligent conversation, it seems to me, with something that seems to understand what I'm trying to achieve. So, it actually produced all these documents. It suggested it produce these documents. And I kind of encouraged it. It was like meant to be a simple project. It turns out this kind of thing isn't simple at all, and therefore it started producing all this stuff. Data dictionary, state machine specs, technology stack, implementation architecture, collaboration strategy. How do we work together, AI and humans, to achieve this? It actually told me, this is how we should operate. And it tells me, I don't know if you saw it, but it will tell me what will help it and what it should be able to guess at and understand, and what it should never guess at. It told me. And then you approve that and you say, okay, that's the game we're in. So you're setting down the ground rules. It generated a glossary of terms with about 100 terms in. Just like that. Brilliant. Okay? So the question is this. Could you use this process, or my dashed through process, I've run through it really quickly, could you use that process in principle to create complex systems, ones that you know the essentials, and it's going to be a bigger project, maybe what might still be a waterfall project? Could you do the waterfall activities on the left-hand side much, much faster? And I think the answer is potentially yes. So if you're in a waterfall environment, because that's just the way it has to be, I think AI has potentially a role to play in improving the quality of the documentation you generate. Okay? And if you do that, I would hope and expect it to produce better code if you use it to do code generation. I've run out of time. I'm really sorry. I tried to squeeze 2 talks into half the time for 1 talk, so my fault there. But I am a substitute, so there you go. Substitute. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you very much. And I think I'm completely out of time. No time for questions. No, you have, because that's only the time for the session. You think so? Yeah,
you want me to go down?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
Oh, sorry, I did misunderstand.
Thank you for being here and helping us in the first. Okay. Actually, we can use a little more time for the questions then. What do you think? It will be more interactive. As governance perspective, who is going to be responsible for these requirements?
Right. So my expectation is what you do is you get, in your company, who's going to write the requirements? You get the people who are going to write the requirements to be part of a group which specifies how the project starts. Start with an idea, maybe. Maybe you have more than an idea. Maybe it's a replacement for an existing system, but you already have an idea about what the new system will look like. Well, you want your thought leaders involved in that area of the business, and the people who have worked and own the system that you're trying to replace, or the business that you're trying to get off the ground, and ask them to collaborate to get something off the ground, to get a document off the ground. AI maybe does the writing, but when you get that document back from AI, you will refine it. Who are the people who would write requirements? Those are the people you'd have involved in the early stage. If you want to get moved to design or architecture, whatever, you bring in the experts. You have a different group, different team of people. In the architecture conversation, it will be presumably a technical architect, maybe a CTO, maybe your lead developer, whoever. All the techies would want to get involved and help to structure the shape, look at the shape of the technical solution that they're going to build. It's not very complicated. Nothing changes. You've just got a helper who will do some of the legwork. So nothing changes in your process, other than you're dealing with AI rather than waiting on people to write documents that never arrive and no one reads.
Okay, excellent. On small scale, it is working, but in a larger scale, the hallucinations are a big problem. How do you minimize these hallucinations?
Hallucinations exist because the people who own or are creating the models rewarded guessing over saying, I don't know the answer. So if you like, literally, my understanding is you get hallucinations because when the model is actually actively answering a question, in its architecture, it is rewarded for giving a good answer. If it does not know, it's not rewarded. If it guesses, it's rewarded a tiny little bit. And so that's why you get hallucinations. Guessing is rewarded. That's the problem. Now, the models now I think this has been known forever, and I think they just need to change their priorities. So I think models will improve. Hallucinations will become less frequent, I think. I think that's the biggest cause of that. But you have to keep your eye open. If you have a junior, who's really smart but inexperienced, and they write a document, they're going to do the best job they can, but they're going to make mistakes because they don't have the experience. It's no different from managing a human. You check their work, you mentor them, you coach them, you help them and guide them. That's what you have to do with AI. Treat them as a human in that respect, and you can swear at them and not say please and thank you. You can do what you like with them. I don't suggest you do that because you might find that it won't be as responsive. But consider treating it like any other person who needs to learn their job. It's not very complicated. You do that now, no change. But it does it faster. Okay?
Okay, you seem you had an impact years ago because the question is as follows. You said become the super tester of the future years ago. It seems AI will be the super tester of the future. How do you see the future of tester role?
There's a short question, long answer. The short answer is, I think testers have to find their niche. Yes, we still need people to write tests and run tests. Now, more and more of that, writing tests and running tests is going to be done by tools. But I know, in another talk I could give, all the thought processes of testers, there are out of the 12 thought processes and decisions we make, which is are really fundamental, AI can help with 4 of them. It can do 2 of them. Test execution, it can do that. Logging and analysing logs, it can do that. There's a couple of things that it can help with, and then the rest of it's not going to be of help. So it can only do about 4 out of 12. It can only support 4 out of 12 test processes, thinking processes. So there's plenty of stuff for humans to do, but most of it is on the left-hand side. It's about gathering information, reviewing, refining requirements and sources of knowledge to allow you to build models, mental models or technical models to test. You still need that. AI says itself, if you ask it, I can't do that. So the folk who are assuming that AI will do everything and replace testers, they're wrong, absolutely wrong. Just tell them they're wrong. Tell them to ask AI whether what they think is possible is actually possible. And AI will say, that's not a good idea. It's not complicated. And the thing is, we're all afraid of AI because we think, oh, it's magic, whatever. No, it's not. Treat it like, treat it like a human being. Be polite, but ask it hard questions and it will attempt to give you answers. And if you can spot the hallucinations, you will get answers that will help you make progress. Ask AI how it can help you. Ask AI what I can do to make AI's job easier. Just do it. It will tell you. You don't need to be a genius to do this. You know, the thing about asking a junior tester, what do I need to do to make your life easier? They probably don't know. AI does know. AI does know. That's the thing.
And that was the short answer, right?
That's the short answer.
If anybody's interested in the long answer, I'm pretty sure you can approach Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, this amazing gentleman was Paul Gerrard. Thank you so very much for your wisdom and thoughts.